Okay, today's lecture is function, rules, tables, and graphs. So we're going to do some more functions. If you need to, you might want to watch function and what was the last lesson? Relations and functions before you watch this to understand. It's just going more in depth. Okay, so we have two types of function. We have continuous data, and it is data where numbers between any two data values have meanings. So like the meaning of for continuous data is like the temperature. The temperature will grow at a certain rate or length, or continues at a certain, growing at a certain length, or weight. People have children, they should be growing at a certain rate for weight. So that's what continuous data is. Discrete data is a data that involves counting items. For example, we count the number of people in a classroom or the number of cars. That's how we would do discrete data. Continuous data means it's just gonna keep continuing. The temperature is gonna keep going every day. The length of a tree is gonna grow continuously, and the weight of a person is either going to continuously get high or low. And discrete means it will stop at a certain time. We're not gonna have any more items that can fit into my classroom. I can fit nicely in my classroom 18 people, and after that it's more or less you can't have any more in my classroom. So that will be a discrete and it stops. So we're going to model each rule with the tables of values and functions. So what I'm going to change a little bit on example 1A. So I put down that I want you to have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, those are the numbers I would like you to use when you graph. Now, that works when you have a whole number in front of the x. Notice the number in front of the x. If you have a whole number, I would like you, I'm going to switch all of these. Whole number, I would like you to use -1. Here's the four numbers I want you to use. -1, 0, 1, and 2. Those are the numbers I would like you to use on your, if it's a whole number. So if I look at B, the number in front of 3 is a whole number. So I'm going to somewhat erase these numbers on my boxes. In my table, it's the same kind of table as you did with the last lesson. And I would like you, instead of having the 1, 2, 3, 4, I would like you to put -1, 0, 1, and 2. Okay. If it's a fraction, you're going to do the denominator, negative of the denominator, 0, the positive of the denominator, and the next, like since it's a half, you want to use the next, what do you want to call it? Next, not factor, but next multiple of the denominator. So if I look at it, I'm going to use the negative of the denominator, so I need to erase these numbers. So the denominator on this fraction on here is a half, so it's 2, so I'm going to do the opposite of 2, which is -2. And then I'm going to do 0, and then I'm going to do the denominator. And then I'm going to do the next multiple of 2, which is 4. If it was 3, then I would do 6. So now I'm going to plug in my numbers using this. So it's going to be -1/2 times plus 1. Negative 1/2 times plus 1. So I'm going to plug in my negative 2, 0, 2, and 4. And we have this, and then we're on the third box over. It's going to look a little different. It's going to be a little bigger. You're going to first put, oh man, sorry, don't erase yours. You're going to, so I had negative 2, 0, 2, and 4. That will work. So you're going to plug in on the first part of this point, you're going to plug in the numbers that are over here. So it's going to be negative 2, 0, 2, and 4. That's a 0. So negative 1/2 plus 1, negative 1/2 plus 1, negative 1/2 plus 1, and negative 1/2 plus 1. And the reason why I'm doing it by the denominator is because then you get whole numbers. We like to graph whole numbers. It's so much easier to graph. Okay, so what is negative 1/2 times negative 2 equal? That equals a positive 1, so it's plus 1 plus 1. So that answer will be 2, and it will go over past the on the point. So negative 1/2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 equals 1. Negative 1/2 times 2 is negative 1, plus 1, which equals a 0. Negative 1/2 times 4 is 8, plus 1, which equals 9. So I have now my points to graph right here. Let's try it out. We're going to graph it. If it goes off the page, it goes off the page. So don't graph that last number if you needed to. So negative 2, 2, negative 2, 2. And then 0, 1, 2, 0. And this one's 4. Oh, that's not 9. I don't know why I said 8. Half of 4 is 2. 2 plus 1 is negative 2. Plus 1 is I. Wow, that was really off. Miss Carson got it wrong. That's negative 1. 4, negative 1. 4, negative 1. Now we can graph it with a line. All of these should be lines. These are functions of lines. And there's your answer. I'd like you to try B by yourself. And graph it. Do all the math and graph it and see what you come up with. Okay, so I graphed it and I went 1 off the graph. I did 1, 7. I graphed it. If you didn't graph it, that's fine too. It should still stay on the line, and I graphed the line too. Make sure it's not a little tiny line and you're just miniaturizing it. You want to have at least most of the graph have the line on it. All right, let's try the next example. All right, word problems. Suppose your group recorded a CD. Now you want to copy and sell it. One company charges $250 for making a master CD and designing the art for the cover. There is also a cost of $3 to burn each CD. The total cost depends on the number of CDs burned. Use the function rule. So they give you the function rule. Isn't that nice of them? To make a table of value. So I made a table value. Now, you cannot sell negative amount of CDs. But I'm being nice. I'm thinking you're going to sell in the hundreds. So I chose 100, 200, 300, 400. CDs, That's a better way of marketing yourself anyways when you sell CDs. So you're going to have a positive amount of CDs or whatever math you're doing. So you're going to have a positive number. You can use 1, 2, 3, 4 if you want to, but we're going to say you are selling lots of CDs. So same idea, you're going to have your box, your last one's going to have your 100, 200, 300, 400. This is going to be, this first numbers that you have set is going to be your X line, that's this, and that's your number of CDs. And the Y, or your answer to all the math, this part right here is going to be the cost. So I said that you need at least 4 numbers again. 4 numbers, that's all you need. So it starts off at buying 0, then it goes to 100, 200, 300, 400, and 500. I'm just going to put 500. Your cost, I don't know how much it is. It's at least 250, but we'll start with something soon, 0. So I'm going to start with your green. So it's going to be 250 plus 3 times 100, 250. All right, so I did all the math for you. It's $550 if you buy 100 CDs, $850 if you buy 200, $1,150 if you buy 300, and $1,450 if you buy 400. So on your cost part, I'm going to start with $550, and I'm going to put a little mix here because we're not starting off interesting enough. So I'm going to put cost over here a little. So I'm going to start with $550 on the first line. And then I'm going to go up by 200s from there. 200s from now on. So that's 700, maybe 300s. So 850. And then another 300. 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, perfect. And then another 300 would be 1450, and another 300 would be 1750. So now I'm going to graph it. Now remember, you have to, if you go up by 300, you need to go up by 300s in all of them. You cannot just come up with your own number. So 0 to 0, that's how much. You don't buy anything, then it's $0. If you buy 100 of them, it's going to be $550. If you buy 200, it's going to be $850. If you buy 300, it's going to be $1150. And if you buy 400, it's $1450. And then you draw your line. If you have do it on a graphing paper, this is what it will look like. Okay, B is the same idea, except they have it a little different. But the same idea. I use 100, 200, 300, 400. If you use 4, 5, 6, and 7, that's fine too. Just needs to be positive numbers, no negatives. All right. Same idea with photography. Again, you have to have a positive amount of. So I'm going to do, for photography, I'm going to do, B is going to be 1, 6, goes right here, not right there. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to plug it in, 3 times 1. All right, so I did 1, 2, 3, 4. I did all the math for it. And so if I had 1 sheet, it's $3, 2 sheets, $6, 3 sheets, $9, and 4 sheets, $12. So I did the graphing again, photos. Remember, this is your X line and this is your Y line.